Serious, married couples of Reddit, what are some unexpected things to expect on the day of the wedding? White dress plus anywhere equals stains. Bridesmaids. Bring chalk. White chalk. Cover any smudge of makeup from granny's hug or that little bug that got squished with a little bit of chalk. I've used this so many times. I bring chalk to weddings even when I'm not in them. Also, fully expect at least one person you didn't invite RSVP'd no and showed up anyway, said no date. Brings dates to come to the wedding. Most catering options will let you round the number up to the nearest 5 without too much cost. It's worth it. You will probably be too pestered by others to actually sit and eat your meal. My wife had boning, support structure, in her dress and it was uncomfortable for her to sit in and eat. We sat down to try and eat and her aunt and grandmother came over and were pestering her to see if everything was going fine. My wife was already irritated from trying to sit in the dress and now her family wouldn't leave her alone for a minute. So I said, let's go to the other room and eat. And we grabbed our plates and went to the dressing room. I unzipped her dress so she could slouch and eat and we lounged around for about 20 minutes watching college football. That 20-minute break was just enough for us to take a breath and relax before going back to the party. My wife wasn't irritable anymore and she and I both had a great evening after that. At the reception, moments after getting married, whether you have kids together already or not, someone will ask when you're having children. Or if you had a short engagement, they'll ask if the bride was pregnant. My sister dated her high school sweetheart for 8 years before they got engaged, but once they were engaged they did a 2-week engagement and got married at a courthouse on the 11th of December 2013. Everyone freaked out and asked if she was pregnant. No, he just wanted that date. I got married after a 2-year engagement and was asked, why don't you have kids yet? We just got married. Like 30 minutes ago. WTF. The real wedding reception starts when all of those relatives you didn't really want to invite anyway go home and you're left with just your friends. You just raided the leftovers. And the DJ still has an hour that you paid for. He's blasting a song that would have given grandma a heart attack. And someone is drinking straight from a champagne bottle because they couldn't find a glass. You lost your tile long ago. And your wife just changed out of her dress. Finally, after all the ceremony and tradition, it is your night. No one is going to give you unsolicited marriage advice. And you already forgot that offhand comment someone made about the food. It'll hit you then. Through the exhaustion and merriment. You're married now. And for tonight at least all is right with the world. If you're the groom, make a point of telling your bride how beautiful she looks. You'd think it'd be something that will come naturally, but that day is so full of stress and events and tons of people. You need to make a point of doing it so it doesn't slip your mind. You will not remember any logistical details after the fact. Did you tip the caterers? No idea. Did you give the marriage license to the officiant? Basically, have other people in charge of ensuring each of those things gets covered, because even if you make it happen, you won't remember and will scramble around for days after trying to get everything straight. I have deadly allergies. The only time I'm more than 3 from my EpiPen is when I'm in my apartment. No idea where it was that day. I vaguely know I'd planned to have it on hand on the day of, but I didn't have any idea where it was. Edit for those too lazy to read replies. If you don't trust any of your friends' family to handle things and can't afford a planner, get a day of coordinator. Something will go wrong. It is unavoidable. The car that was supposed to drive us away from the venue after the reception didn't show up. You gotta just roll with it and realize that the only thing that matters at the end of the day is that you are married to your best friend and love of your life. You will be super busy. Take a moment and just you and your so go stand in the corner of the reception hall and just look at everything. Take it all in because it will fly by and you will barely remember it. Bad weather, misbehaving children, illness in the wedding party, a building engineer forgetting to turn on the air conditioning, pictures taking longer than expected, wedding guests coming with children when there is no child care available. I've seen all of this at other weddings. My wife is a professional event planner and made sure none of that happened, or mattered, at ours. I recommend hiring a planner if you can afford it. They've seen it all and can anticipate problems. The day is going to go fast. Really fast. Give serious consideration as to how much money you really want to spend on something that's going to seem like it is done in 3 hours. Very glad me and the wife changed our plans to a budget wedding. The second we canned the free bar, a lot of our relatives were suddenly busy on the day of our wedding and couldn't make it. Very glad I didn't spend thousands on a free piss up for those selfish wankers. Instead, we asked permission for family members who donated for the wedding to let us rename it the Baby Fund. This allowed time off work with no worries about drop in pay due to paternity leave. Money much better spent in my opinion. Full stop. Someone who said they would not be at the reception will show up. Make sure you either have a place ready or have other contingency plans. Also, something weather related will probably go wrong, because the universe has a weird sense of humor. In my case, our dog bit my thumb to the bone about 20 minutes before I had to leave the house. Blood everywhere. Loads of fun. You will forget something. Make sure it isn't the $500 cash your husband puts in his rent-a-tux coat pocket. We got it back, but our best man had to drive an hour back to our hotel to drop it off. The biggest thing I can think of is don't feel pressured into having sex that night. After the wedding you will be exhausted and most likely will have to spend 3+ hours pulling your wife out of her dress and all the it she will have in her hair. I pulled pins out of my wife's hair for a crazy amount of time after the wedding. For the love of God, if you're taking a flight the next day for a honeymoon, don't have it be early in the morning. Get some really good sleep that night and then go full crazy on your honeymoon. You will have drunk relatives at your wedding. It will be awkward, and it will most likely cause a scene. If you don't serve alcohol, you will probably still have a drunk relative at your wedding. Your priest may be bitter over her third divorce and spend the entire ceremony making jokes about how horrible marriage is. Try to convert your Muslim friend into Christianity and lecture you on how as a woman, you now work for your husband and must obey him in every way. My mother-in-law picked the priest. I had no idea she was nuts. I didn't expect to wipe out within seconds of walking into my own reception, but I did. I made my way to the chairs in the center of the dance floor so that we could dance the hora. Went to sit down like normal, but did not consider the ball gown I was wearing. The dress pushed the chair right out from under me, and I hit the floor, legs sticking up in the air through waves of crinoline. Time stopped, and the collective gasp from the crowd sucked the air out of the room. I had less than a second to decide how I would handle this disaster, and after shaking my head, got up smiling and clapping my hands, and called everyone out to the dance floor. They lifted me up in the chair. All I could really think about at that point was holding on. I've been clumsy all my life, but this was absolutely the most embarrassing moment I have ever experienced. The day was still wonderful, but I might have shed a silent tear in the shower that night. At least I didn't fall down a set of stairs, right? It goes too fast. Set aside time. We did right off to vows, to be alone for a few minutes and process getting married. Remember to eat, have snacks in your dressing room. It's okay to just have a 30-second conversation with each person. Presents cards get stolen. Someone took our whole card box, which had a lock, but was made of cute, thin wood. Also, I almost killed the DJ. My mantra was to be graceful and have fun. After the 2 hours if pre-ceremony freak out. Congrats. Everyone thinks the bride is in charge, but really the photographer is. My wife and I got dragged around all afternoon by ours. When all the pictures were done and he left, we could finally relax and enjoy the party. My dad got attacked by a feral cat the morning of our wedding. He was totally doped up from the meds and rabies shots and then combined that with alcohol and dancing. Lol, he looks high as a kite in our wedding photos. We laugh about it to this day, and my parents ended up adopting that cat and still have it. Needless to say, it didn't have rabies and is now quite a nice little cat. Someone might try to steal your thunder at the wedding. For example, someone declaring their pregnancy or engagement, to make the day be a bit more about them than you. Then a lot of the focus on your day will push over to other people. There's not a lot you can do in this situation aside from try not to invite the jealous center of attention types. Know that 10 years from now, the unexpected things will be the ones you will most remember, that you'll look back on fondly or laugh about. Leading up to the wedding, all the focus goes into the small details. But years later, I don't remember what our centerpieces looked like. or what font we chose for the program, or what song played when we came into the reception. But I do remember when one friend threw a cream pie in the other one's face, or when our DJ tried to play the whole Thriller album straight through, and countless other strange funny things. It's going to be a wild day, don't stress. Just soak it all in and enjoy it. Write your speech, if planning to make one. Same with vows. Have photos taken of each table group, even if the photographer says it is a silly idea. Do something memorable. We did a group photo with nearly 100 people, many of whom are now departed. We made that photo the center image in our album. Dance with any relatives or friends you will miss the most when gone and have photos taken. If going to a warm location for honeymoon, take lots of sunscreen. My wife got a pretty bad sunburn while snorkeling. You forget that half of your body is exposed to direct sun.